Well, that's correct. Yeah, yeah, that's correct. And ironically, I was, when you mentioned Joe Ryan, but one of the jobs I had while I was in the management of Scientology internationally was running a direct control over the organization that Joe works for in Dublin. So it's kind of ironic that he pops up again. When I woke up to what was happening in the cult and some of the effects of the work I'd done in the cult, I think I felt very strongly that I needed to counteract anything positive that I had done for them, if you understand what I mean. On the previous year, I'd been working, like my last year in the cult in particular, I'd been doing a lot of work really which would fall under the heading of public relations and community relations and social relations for the cult. And I actually achieved quite a lot on their behalf as a result of that. And so when I became unprogrammed to their conditioning and realized what I had been doing, I wanted to counteract everything that I might have, any positive media that I might have given to the cult. I wanted to counteract it. And to that end, I started by writing a number of articles which were posted on, in a couple of online journals and online newspapers, if you like, and then got picked up from there based on some of the popularity of those articles that I wrote. The book, I was asked to write a book about it at that point. Going back to that specific time, it certainly was not a big worry of mine at the time. On the one hand, I was very angry. On the other hand, I actually had nothing to lose. At that time, I was less than 24 months out of the cult when I actually started writing the book. And I had nothing. I had no material assets whatsoever in the world. I had nothing to protect, really, except myself, And I suppose in my state of mind, I considered that I was almost like a lost cause, really, in many ways, in my own point of view. So I had nothing to lose, really. So any reaction that they took, there was no damage they could really do to me, beyond what they'd already done. And they'd have achieved that from 22 years of being in the cult, really. I knew that there would be reaction, but I couldn't see what they could do that would harm me at all. I was surprised at the mildness of the reaction, to be honest with you. What's interesting is in Ireland, the only real, if you like, pro-Scientology reaction was posited by Joe Ryan himself, actually, because ironically, I think it was about a week before the book was released to anybody, and no one could possibly have read any drafts of the book outside of the publisher and the legal team, unless someone leaked it or, someone stole a copy, but it wasn't actually physically finished printing or binding at that point. But Joe Ryan, before the book was in the public domain, said that it was all lies and it was all the same old lies that the anti-Scientology critics make about Scientology. I just thought that was a rather interesting reaction by him, and that was in the newspaper. He was asked about it. The Amazon reaction, the UK reaction, was very, very, very typical of the cult's litigation techniques. They hired Carter Ruck. Carter Ruck is one of these big, like very, very high-powered libel firms who specialize in libel in the United Kingdom. And they're very, very expensive. I mean, for them just to write a letter on behalf of a client would probably cost about 100,000 sterling. That's the kind of company they are. And they're used by big multinational companies. They're used by, oil sheiks and all that, to sort of shut up anybody who may want to describe shenanigans that some of these big corporations can get up to. from what I pieced together of what the cult did in terms of blocking the book in the United Kingdom was, first of all, they scrutinized the book, a copy of the book. They found a well-known, well, not well-known, but, for a successful Scientology business person, called Horst Tubesing, who was a good friend of mine for quite a number of years. And they had him bring the case, if you like. Now, obviously, they would have funded it, and they put him up to it, and they briefed him and did whatever else, right? So it was, if you like, it was his complaint. The way it was staged was that it was his complaint that I was putting him in a bad light, and that was how they couched the whole case, really. Carter Ruck, then that letter was sent to us, the publisher, to myself and the publisher, and the legal advice we got in Ireland was that they've got no jurisdiction whatsoever in Ireland. But yes, of course, they've got jurisdiction in England because the British libel laws are different. And I suppose then what Carter Ruck, yes, it was Carter Ruck that did it as well. They sent a letter to certainly all the big book outlets and all the book chains in the United Kingdom and to every UK publisher, warning them off touching the book, if you like. And we know this is a fact because we contacted W.H. Smith and we contacted a couple of large publishing houses in Britain to do a UK edition. And all of them said they wanted to both publish and make the book available. They could not take the legal risk because they would get tied up in the most expensive litigation imaginable. And so any potential profits would be just decimated as a result of trying to take on the likes of the cult of Scientology. The specific wording was, I can remember, I don't have the papers here, but the wording was the legal threat from Scientology, or from the Scientology lawyers, or from the people who work on behalf of Scientology, was that they could not make the book available for those reasons, for legal reasons, because of litigation. That was more or less the wording of the letters that the book chains received.